Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics ever, of course, is self-study or self-directed learning. I really believe in self-study and in educating yourself, especially because I didn't went to college. I actually went for like 2 semesters in Venezuela, my home country, but then I have to leave the country and I couldn't continue with my studies. I might do it some days, but for the moment, it's not a possibility in my life. So the moment that I decided to drop out of college and start my life somewhere else and go through all the things that you go through as an immigrant, I also decided to continue my education on my own. I feel like we're very, very lucky these days because we have the internet and we have the opportunity to get quality resources and quality information online. Of course, my self-study will never ever replace a university experience, and that's not what I'm looking for, but what I'm looking for is to maintain myself being educated. Today, of course, I'm going to be talking mostly about language learning because that's the topic that I always talk about in this channel, and that's one of the topics that I'm most passionate about. So I'm going to share with you some of the tips that I find very helpful when self-studying a language. First, I want to talk about how I redefine self-study and why. The reason why I decided to redefine what self-study meant to me was because the whole idea of self-study felt very lonely to me. I'm someone who shies away from relationships, even though I know they're very, very important in life. I just struggle a bit with communicating and getting close with people. Throughout the years, long story short, I actually started becoming more confident with it and started creating relationships online. Not so much in person, but definitely online. That is also a big part of why I created my own community and all of that. But the reason why I wanted to redefine self-study is because it felt like I had to do it all on my own, and that didn't line up with what I wanted to do with languages, which was connect with the world. The way I redefine self-study is I see it as self-directed learning, which is a term that I really, really like, but I don't use very often because it's kind of long and I'm very lazy like that. So self-study is self-directed learning. I will be interchanging them all the time, but the reason why I prefer to use self-directed learning whenever I remember to do so is because it allows me to decide how I learn languages and with whom. So I feel like in the term self-directed learning, you could even like go to a class, in-person class, if that's what works best for you. You could have tutors, you could have friends that help you out with it. You can learn on your own certain things. The way that I see self-study is by me deciding how I learn languages and having the saying on what steps I'm going to take and what things I'm going to do and what things I'm not going to do. Some things I decide that I always do with language learning is that I always talk with other people. I always join communities. I always have fun learning. If I'm not having fun, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, and I come up with my own strategies and my own ways of learning languages because I found that interesting and fun to do. To me, language learning is a hobby. I mean, it's kind of my career, but it's also my hobby, and I genuinely enjoy language learning and I make it as fun as I possibly can. Certain things I never do with self-study, I don't really use much textbooks because they don't give me what I need. I might use one here and there to get some clarity, but I don't rely heavily on textbooks. I don't like grammar exercises. I avoid those as much as possible. I prefer doing writing exercises where I write longer pieces of text, or reading or comprehension, and overall my favorites are listening exercises. So I shy away a little bit more from the grammar side of things because I just don't enjoy it as much as I actually enjoy listening and talking and interacting with other people and discovering the culture and the way other people think. So what I want you to take away from this video is that you can direct your own learning and you don't have to do what everyone else does. You can do whatever you feel like works for you, right? And if you like both textbooks and listening, combine those. Also play to your strengths. I cannot concentrate for a very long time, so studying or creating a routine that is very heavily focused on sitting down and studying is not gonna work for me. On the other hand, I'm kind of like musically, like I really like music. I used to study music and play music a lot, so I really like working on pronunciation and sound and the different intonations. I'm not saying I'm any good at it, but I'm saying that I really, really enjoy that. So I play to that strengths to motivate myself to learn languages that way. Now, let me share with you the 4 steps that I always follow when I'm learning absolutely anything, but especially languages. And this is something that I find very important. Again, if you're studying with like a business course or any other type of course, I don't know what other type of course, like a knitting, drawing, designing, any type of course that you're doing, any type of learning online that you're self-directing or in person, I highly recommend you follow these 4 steps because they're gonna help you learn smarter. The first step is planning. Of course, you know me, I love a study plan. If you're new here, you don't know me, I love a study plan. I love a list, I love a planner, I love a study plan. I'm very heavily into the planning side of things. I generally enjoy planning and doing all sort of planning. How many times have I said planning in this video? But the point is that planning is essential when you're self-directing your learning, because you need to know what you're going to be doing. And a very, very important part of planning is setting goals and setting a routine, especially when it comes to language learning, on how often you're going to learn and what are the milestones that you want to have and what are the things that you want to achieve. Now, the second step is learning, actually learning the language, actually getting the information in your brain. Of course, this is why we do what we do, right? Without learning, there's just nothing. It's the main thing that we have to do. Now, I feel like most people will stop here and just do like planning and learning, and that's it. But I will add 2 more steps. This third step will be to share what you've learned. And this works very well with languages, of course, but it actually works with everything. So sharing what you learn is coming up to your own conclusions and being able to explain what you've learned to others as well. While in language learning, being able to communicate with the language. So the way I share what I learn is by making these videos, of course, but also with my friends, my community. I just share my experiences, share the language itself. This is huge for me. I feel like having friendships and people to practice language with, it's so important in our language learning routine. And you cannot just get to the point of learning. You have to take that extra step and share what you've learned and put everything that you got inside in practice to balance the input with the output, or harmonize the input with the output. Some people need way more input before they can produce the language, some people don't. Very important to share your language and share what you've learned with others in order to reinforce what you're learning and make sure that you 100% get it. Now, the fourth and last step is evaluate, and this is when we're gonna review. When we talk about language learning, we're gonna review the language, everything that we've learned so far, but also our plan, the techniques that we're using, the resources that we use, and the methods that we use. Sometimes we outgrow our resources and we need to find a new strategy and a new resource. Sometimes we have resources that are very well and we need to acknowledge that they're doing good for us so we can still be motivated to use them for a longer time. So evaluating not only the language that you've learned, but how you've been learning the language or how you've been studying so far, it's crucial in the process, and it's gonna help you every time you decide to go into the cycle again and again and again. So once you have evaluated your whole process, you're gonna be more confident to create another language learning plan, and then more confident to learn, to share, and to continue the little loops of cycles that come with language learning. Now, keep in mind that there's a lot of trial and error in self-directed learning and in self-study. It's gotta happen, it's part of the process, especially when you start. Like the very first languages I learned, I did so many things that I will never do today, just because I didn't know better and I had to try them and understand that they don't work for me, right? Do not discard something just because you think it's not gonna work for you. Try them and then see if they give you results or not. So always have that trial and error mindset. I like to call it the scientist mindset, where you will try many things and you will really explore many options in order for you to get a result. Now, if you want to keep watching videos and learn more about how to plan your language learning, the very first step, I'm going to leave some resources over here where you can learn about how to create a study plan. Also, don't forget to join the Polyglot Union. I recommend to join us if you want to really share your language with other people and you don't want self-study to be so lonely. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I will see you next time. Bye!